Hey everyone, it's Cece. So today we're going to be reviewing the infamous Lara Lee brush set. Okay, so we're going to be using exclusively those brushes for our makeup look. So I always start off with the e.l.f. Blemish Control Facial Primer, but there's no real brush, I think, for that. So we're just going to use our fingers today. We're going to put one pump on the back of our hand, which gives us about a pea-sized amount of product, and we're going to be putting that all over our face except for the nose. Again, that is a James Charles tip. So we're going to be rubbing that all across our face, and it is, and again, all over our eyes to kind of set a base for that. And I would prefer if they had like a stipple brush or something for a primer, but I do understand that the majority of people, including Lara Lee herself, use their fingers to blend it in. I just personally prefer a brush, but you know, whatever floats your boat, but that's just my opinion on that. We're going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation in shade 102, and we're going to be taking the infamous Morphe Y6 brush to stipple that in. So we're going to be shaking this up a little bit, and we're going to put some on the back of our hand. So we're going to be dipping it into the foundation, and we're going to be dotting it all over our face. Okay, so now we're going to be taking the buffer and blending it in. Lara Lee stipples it into the skin, so I think that's what we're gonna do. She's very full coverage, so I'm assuming this brush will give a like full coverage look, I guess you could say. So we're going to be blending that down to the neck as always, and we're just gonna blend it in. It is doing a good job with the main part of my foundation, like the base, but around my nose, I kind of feel like it's cracking a little bit. Like it doesn't want to blend in, because like that's why I don't typically use a flat top brush. This is flat, so I kind of find it difficult to blend in the around the nose area, especially. It just makes it a little bit more difficult and time consuming to kind of blend that out. Okay, so the Y6 blended in good except around the nose area, in my opinion. I'm going to take a damp Morphe sponge and, you know, kind of pat that in a little bit to make it look a little bit less creasy, I guess, because it's like kind of creasing a lot. I don't know why, but that's why I kind of dislike flat top kabuki brushes. Next up, we have concealer. So we're going to be taking the Makeup Revolution concealer in shade C1. I'm almost out of this, but we're going to try and make it work. If there isn't enough product, we'll switch to the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer. So there wasn't really enough to blend, I feel like. So to give this brush a fair battle, we're going to be using a little bit of the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer, or Radiant Creamy Concealer, my bad. We're going to be putting that where we put the rest of the concealer, building it a little bit. I actually really like this brush. So the thing is, you don't swipe it at all, you kind of just press it in, but the bristles are dense enough to pack in the concealer really nicely, but not so dense that it like hurts your under eyes when you press, or around your nose or any other area. It's perfect for concealer. I have always lived by using a beauty sponge to pack concealer in, but this works just as good or maybe even better. Kudos to Lara Lee for making such an amazing brush. This is definitely a hit for me. So next we're going to be baking, of course. So what she uses to apply bake is the Morphe Y11 brush. So we're going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me foundation powder in shade 05. There is no real big fluffy powder brush in this collection, so we're just going to have to use this little brush that she uses for applying bake powder just all over our face, which I do think it would have been nice if there would have been a powder brush added, because I do feel like that's kind of a necessity in a lot of other people's like routines, which I mean, I do know that it is her favorite brushes, and but at the same time I do feel like this is given to the public, and she did kind of make it wanting you to make a full face with this brush set, so I feel like a powder brush added would have been nice. Not hating on the brush set, but it's just something I think would have been nice if added. There's not really too much fallout, which is nice. There's a little bit, of course, as with all times you set your face or bake it, but with this one I'm not noticing too much, so I can understand why Lara would definitely like this brush. I typically use a beauty blender when it comes to baking, but I can't understand why this brush would definitely be a good alternative to that. Hello, dogs. Someone's not happy. Okay, so next we're going to move on to eyebrows. We're going to be using the e.l.f. brow pencil, and I'm just going to fill those in real quick off camera. Dogs. Someone's not happy. Okay, so next we're going to move on to eyebrows. We're going to be using the e.l.f. brow pencil, and I'm just going to fill those in real quick off camera. Okay, so now that eyebrows are moved in, we're going to move on to eyes. We're going to be using the Morphe 35W palette. I had this palette since time, so it's no surprise that we're using it. I love this palette so incredibly much. But, okay, so we're going to just be using her brushes to try and create an eye look with this palette, and her brushes will hopefully give us some assistance. I thought we should bring in a palette that I have a lot of experience with, because I do think these eyeshadows are absolutely amazing. And I do want to give these brushes a fair fighting chance, so I'm using all products that I know are really good. We're going to start out with the Morphe M573 brush, and we're going to be dipping into this light brown shade, and we're going to be tapping that off, and we're going to be putting that in our crease as a base shade for our eyeshadows. So next we're going to be taking the Morphe R39 brush. Laura Lee loves this brush. I see her use it all the time on her channel. And so next shade that we're going to dip into is this brown shade right here. It is a bit of a darker brown. We're going to tap that off, and we're going to be putting that on the outer and inner corners of our eye and blending that out. I really like the R39 brush. I really do think it blended out the eyeshadow really well, and the bristles were, again, perfect. Soft enough so that they aren't harsh on your eyelid, because again, your eyelid is a very sensitive area, but just rough enough so that it blends out the eyeshadow perfectly. So we're going to be taking that pencil brush and going in with this dark maroon shade right here. It's a little bit darker than the previous brown shade we used, but it is going to add a little bit more of a purpley. It's kind of going to look a little bit more purpley brown than it did before. So we're going to be putting that on the outer and inner corner and blending that out again with the R39 brush. Okay, so that blended out really well so far. I'm really impressed with this brush set. And so next we're going to be getting a little bit trickier. We're going to be moving into this matte black shade using the same pencil brush. We're going to be putting it in the inner and outer V's, only we're going to be putting a little bit less product, because you do want to be careful with black, because once you put it on, there is no going back. Okay, now that that is done, I think we're going to be wiping off the bake now. We're going to be using that same Y11 brush, and we're going to quickly wipe off the bake. I think the bake looks fine. Honestly, when I baked it, it just looks like every other bake I did. So this is a win for me, because sometimes with brushes, it'll scratch up the foundation whenever you try and take off the bake. So I do think this Y11 brush is good for applying and wiping off bake powder whenever you do your makeup. We're going to be taking the same E36 brush from Morphe, and we're going to be dipping into this brown shade from before, tapping it off and putting it on our lower lash line to about mid-eye right here, and then we're going to just kind of go back and forth to diffuse it a little bit. Okay, now that that is done, we're going to be taking some of our NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer and the M421 brush from Morphe. The M421 brush is this mini concealer brush that I'm assuming was intended for cut creases or halo eyes, like what I'm doing today. So what I'm going to be doing is, you see this light patch here, we're going to be putting a little bit of concealer right there, and we're going to try and see how well it applies and see if it interferes with the eyeshadow at all, and let's see what that does. I genuinely think that this concealer brush applied the concealer better than any other concealer brush that I have ever used to make a cut, crease, or halo eye. I'm sorry if this eye looks kind of wonky, it's just the lighting, it just makes it kind of look a little bit weird right now. But I genuinely, this is such a hit for me. It applied so nicely. It distributed the product evenly. It's the perfect size, not too small, not too big. I am genuinely impressed with this brush. So Lara, you did a great job picking that brush for this set and for use in general, so I really appreciate that. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be mixing this golden shade right here and this kind of champagne-y shade right there, and we're going to be putting that where we put the concealer to add a little bit of shimmer. But I think to add a little bit more sparkle, we're going to be taking the e.l.f. It's this liquid eyeshadow. It's molten liquid eyeshadow in shade Brushed Copper. And so we're going to be applying that to blend it out. We're going to be using the same concealer brush. I have no doubt that it will do an amazing job. So we're going to be right back with a little bit more shimmer on our eyelids from this e.l.f. Liquid eyeshadow. Okay, so now that that's on, our eyes kind of look a little bit crazy. So what we're going to be doing is we need to blend out kind of those harsh lines that the concealer made. So we're going to be taking this dark brown right here with the R39 brush. We tap just one tap right there, and we're going to kind of blend into the edges a little bit. You're going to blend the brown into the edges so there's no harsh lines. Okay, I really do like the eye brushes. I think they did an amazing job. So I'm really impressed with the eye brushes. I didn't really think there were any bad ones when it came to the four eye brushes that she included. And I do not know how to test out the M250.1-1 brush, this little liner brush right here. I did not test this out, but I do assume that it is like every other liner brush, and I did feel the bristles on my lid. I don't have gel liner, but I felt the bristles on my lid, and it was really soft, and the density was really nice. So I am choosing to assume that it would apply a really great winged eyeliner. I'm sorry, I just can't really test that out in this video. I do live by felt tip eyeliner, so I apologize for that. But that is the only brush that I will not be reviewing today. So I'm going to apply eyeliner and mascara off camera, so I'll be right back. Okay, now that I've put mascara and eyeliner on, let's review our next brush. Next, we're going to be taking the R36 brush from Morphe for highlight. We're going to be using the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder in shade Blossom Glow. We're going to be taking a dry brush. We're going to dip into that, and we're going to be putting that on our cheeks, on our cheekbones, on our nose, and under our brow bone, of course. I honestly am impressed. This is a really nice brush. The brush I use right now for highlighting is the M510. Look at the size difference is huge. This brush is like really fluffy, and this one's really tapered and pointed at the top. And this brush here gives a far more precise like highlight, and I think I'm going to use this brush more often. I genuinely feel like I will use it more often. It's really precise. It applies the highlight even better than the brush I already have, which I really do like this highlighting brush. Okay, so we have two more brushes to review, but first we're going to be using the Morphe R14 brush. We're going to be applying it on our right under our cheekbones, on our forehead, and under our jawline. So let's do that real quickly. I really like this bronzer brush. It applies the product really evenly, and of course I always have to diffuse it with a beauty blender, but I really do like this brush. I mean, of course, I don't think I'm going to be switching from my E3, because that's what I use to apply bronzer every day, my Morphe E3 brush, but I do think this is a really good bronzer brush. So if you don't really like brushes that are too big and fluffy for bronzer, I do think that this R14 brush would be great for bronzer. So I do again think that is a great hit. There is not a lot of misses. So far, there have been no misses, and we only have one brush left to review. So next, we're going to be taking the Morphe E4 brush that they have. Now, I already have a Morphe E4 brush, so I think I'm going to use the one I already have and give this brush to a friend. Because I already have one, I don't really think I need another one, so we're just going to use the one I already have and that I use for blush every day. And I'm using the Wet n Wild Color Icon Blush in shade Pearlescent Pink as per usual. And we're going to be applying this to our cheeks. Okay. This brush applies blush really nicely. I feel like it gives you just the perfect amount of product, and I really do love the way it applies. And overall it's just a great blush brush that I use every single day. Overall, I loved this brush set. It's so amazing. If you're new to makeup, if you're not new to makeup, regardless. These brushes are all really, really good. The only one that I'm iffy about is this liner brush because I can't really try it, and the Y6. Other than that, and even this, it's not even completely a bad brush. It's just I don't like flat top kabuki brushes. But other than that, I think it's a good brush. And this brush I can't really try because I don't use gel liners. But overall, this is an amazing brush set. In this bag, it is so cute. It is such a cute bag, and it doesn't have any trouble. It doesn't have any zipper issues. Cause sometimes the zipper will get caught, but this one just glides. The color is a really cute nude pink, and I'm overall in love with this brush set. So props to you, Lara Lee. This is definitely CC Maple approved, so please go buy this brush. It's only $52 for an $81 value, I think. I love this brush set. I strongly encourage that you go buy it. So that's just what I think about that, and this is the full look that we got from using their products. Oh no, I forgot to apply lipstick. We're going to be taking the Urban Decay lipstick in shade Safe Word. So let's apply that real quickly and then wrap this video up. Hope you enjoyed that video. Please like, comment, and click that subscribe button. Have a great day. Bye.